Hello, everybody. This is Book Club Flash Comics 123. There's D-Ruck, and here's the crew. This week was Alan's choice,
Yep.
so take her away.
Okay, so here's the book, Flash 123. Mine's a low grade, but it's a great book. So Flash 123 is really about the meeting of the two Flashes, the Golden Age Flash and the Silver Age Flash. Uh, it starts out with Barry Allen being late for a date, as he always is. He's always late, fastest man alive, but he's always late. So I don't know why that
I think
is.
that was the running gag.
That's the running joke with Barry
Yes.
Allen. He's always late for everything. So the thing is, he gets there. He gets to Iris, and she's at a community center where they're about to put on a show. And at first he's like, oh man, she's going to leave me and all this kind of stuff. But really what's happening is she's all upset because the magician who was supposed to be entertaining the kids has, for whatever reason, not appeared. So Barry basically says, hey, I could I know Flash was back at the police station. I can get him to come over and he can perform for the kids. So that's what they do. So Flash puts on a show for the kids and he plays tennis against himself. He does a whole bunch of things. And the very last trick he does is a magic trick where he vibrates a rope and makes it stand up straight. And he vibrates it so much that he vibrates between Earth. I'm not sure what the two numbers are, Matt, but Matt
Earth
would know.
one, Earth one is Barry's. Earth two is Jay Garrick.
Yeah, I always get the numbers mixed up. So he goes from Earth 1 to Earth 2. Okay. And he ends up in Keystone City, which is the Jay Garrett's or the Golden Age Flash's world. And it's the same year. Everything's the same, but it's a different city. It's a different version of Earth. And when he's there, he's like, something's not right. He obviously notices that things are different, but he realizes that this is the world of the other Flash, and Barry Allen, he read about the Flash as a kid. He grew up reading the Golden Age comics. I thought that was kind of interesting that they actually kind of make this sort of fourth wall thing where they reference Gardner Fox, who wrote the stories of the Flash, and he was like, "Oh,
I
I
think
was
he
a big
also
fan."
wrote this story.
Yeah, I know, that's the funny thing. And he basically he says that he's a big fanboy for the other Flash, and then he looks up in the phone book where this Flash lives in this other world. And he goes to his house and basically visits him and says, hey, by the way. um, so he basically knocks on the door of the other Flash, Jay Garrett's Flash, and he says, hey, I know your origin story. And he retells the origin story for the Golden Age Flash, and then retells his own origin story as a way of saying, hey, look, I'm the Flash as well. We're both Flashes. And the Flash in this world has retired. Basically, the way that they kind of have the continuity is that the original Flash, Golden Age Flash, ended in 1949. The last issue was in 1949. And basically, the way that they end it in terms of this kind of story is that they say, well, he retired. And he was actually thinking of coming out of retirement and, starting to fight crime again, because what he had done when he retired was he had locked up all his criminals. They're all in jail. And it was only recently that crime seemed to be happening again. And he was thinking of coming out of retirement to find out what was happening, because there was banks getting robbed, there was trucks getting robbed, there was things happening, and he was thinking of coming out of retirement to kind of solve all these cases and fight crime again. And what it was his nemesis, the Golden Age Flash's nemesis. Three of them had escaped from prison and were going around robbing and looting and doing stuff. So the two Flashes decide to work together to fight crime. And they basically they each encounter one of the different enemies of the Flash, the Golden Age Flash. And the three ones that they're dealing with are the Shade, the Thinker, and the Fiddler. The first one that they encounter is the Thinker. Not the Thinker. Is it the Thinker?
It's the Thinker, because it's Jay that faces the Thinker alone, and Barry faces
the Shade.
The Shade alone.
Yeah, and they both fail. they both fail because they're actually the bad guys have sort of leveled up, and they're actually more dangerous than they ever were before. So the Thinker, he basically can manipulate what people see around him. And so basically the Flash tries to catch him. Every time he thinks he's caught him, it's an illusion. When dealing with the Shade, Barry Allen tries to catch the Shade. Or is it Barry Allen? Yeah.
Barry Allen was up against the Shade.
Yeah,
yes.
He tries to catch the Shade, and the Shade kind of uses the shadiness, which is to like a mist around himself, to basically, to distract, to basically act as like something like to escape, like to make it hard for him to see. And what happens is, he spins really fast. He blows all that shadiness away. But the Shade does it again, the second time, where he kind of puts out the mist. And this time, he not only puts out the mist, but he puts oil in the mist and makes the Barry Allen Flash basically slip when he's trying to chase him on the water. This is all happening on a boat, and it's kind of a weird situation, but hopefully my explanation makes sense. But basically,
right, he's running on top of the water, and the oil makes him sink. Right?
That's right.
Basically, he's slipping on it. So the point is, they both fail against these bad guys.
Yeah.
And there's a third bad guy, which is the Fiddler. And they both decide to go up against the Fiddler together as a team. However, when they go up against the Fiddler plays his fiddle, it's a Stradivarius, it's a violin. And he basically hypnotizes them and makes them do his bidding, where they rob the jewels. Okay, and it looks bad for them because the other two villains come there and they're like, "Oh, we got to help the Fiddler. If there's two Flashes, they could potentially take out the Fiddler." But it's not the case. The Fiddler is actually totally controlling them. So when they arrive, they're like, "Oh, you have them acting like puppets. That's awesome." And what happens is they're just getting the jewels. They're robbing just the way the Fiddler wants them to. But there's a trick. The two Flashes are smart, and they put the jewels inside their ears so that they act like little earplugs, and they're able to break out of the trance that the Fiddler has them in. And then they disarm the three of them, and they quickly resolve the situation, and they all go to jail. That's basically what happens. And after this, Barry Allen goes back to he vibrates himself back into his own reality, and that's the end of the story. He meets up with Iris again. That's basically the end of it. But the idea is now set up. This is the first time in comics, actually, where you have this idea of two worlds.
Yeah.
And that's really why this book is so important in terms of comic lore and history. And if you don't like the multiverse, this book is not for you, but but this is the book that really does set up the multiverse concept and really addresses how do you deal with the idea of the Golden Age characters and these new Silver Age characters who have similar names, or not similar names, but similar. They're the same, like they're both Flash, but they're new character playing the Flash. So the idea is that they set up that continuity by setting up two versions of Earth, Earth 1 and Earth 2. And I think, the writing in this book is like one of my favorite in terms of comics that I've ever read. I want to really emphasize that it's really it sets up so many things, and it sets up and it does so much heavy lifting very, very quickly. It explains all of the bad guys' powers. It explains all of the good guys' powers. It explains the origin stories for the characters. It explains how they can be in two separate worlds. It does a lot of stuff, but very efficiently. And it's a really good story for that. And it's one of those ones where you're not confused. You kind of like, there's not like, oh, what's going on here? It's like, it's very straightforward. So I'll get into my scores related to the book. I actually recommended this as being one of the top 100 covers of all time. It's iconic. It's just a cool cover. This is one of those, like, I always hate books where they have like some really kind of cool cover, and then you're like, oh, that's never happens in the story. This panel actually happens in the story, and that's so cool. That is totally cool to me, like that this actually this is a panel from the actual book, which is really cool. So I really like the cover. I'm going to give it a 5 because as I said, to me, this is one of the top 100 covers of all time. It's one of the most iconic Silver Age covers. And it's one that everybody knows. It's like this crossover thing. And it really does visually set up that whole idea of the crossover. The interior art is as good. This is Carmen Infantino doing the work in it. It's really high quality art all the way through. It tells the story very, very well. It's not like the way 90s art is, where you got like big splash pages and all that kind of craziness. It is much more utilitarian in terms of the way that it gets the story to come across. But it's at the same time high quality art, where it's really conveying what's happening really, really well. It's like watching a TV series where it flows very, very smoothly. So I actually give the interior art, really high marks. I'm going to give it another 5. Okay, so we got 2 5s in a row. The writing, I'm also going to give it a 5 because this is one of the best stories in comics. Because of all the things that it does and all the things that it sets up for the future. So I'm going to give it 5s all across the board. Overall score of 5 as well. So that's my scores. And that's my review of it. Just such an important book for comic history and the whole space.
Very well done, Alan. So the new rule is the person that picks the book also gets to pick the order of who reviews. So you get to pick who does next.
Oof. Okay, I'm sort of worried what certain people will say. So I'm going to try to influence it. I know Matt will like this book, so I'm going to pick Matt next, and hopefully we'll kind of overall like influence you guys in a positive way to like this book. So Matt, I'm going to pick next.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start off by saying, with regards to a little bit of history, Gardner Fox is probably one of the most prolific writers in comics, certainly DC, because he was there almost right from the start. He was the writer for the original Flash, right from I think Flash 1, to be honest, and he was the writer for the Justice Society. and he wrote the Johnny Quick as well, and a bunch of other stuff over the years for DC. And he was never out of work. He was trained in law, and he was an avid reader. And he was one of those kind of we used to call them Renaissance men, where he knew a little bit about everything, and he used that in his books, which is why he came up with the concept about two things, if their atoms vibrate at different frequencies,
yeah, they could be in the same place at the same time. That I loved when he talked about that in this story.
And the fact that he used himself in the story in order to explain what happened, I'm having dreams about this other world, was an interesting way to put things down. So you already covered what was in the story. I think this is a landmark, as you said. This is the first time Earth 2 and Earth 1 are defined. And the definition was not because the definition of 1 and 2 was not because, oh, well, this is better than that. They literally went, Flash Barry Allen was the one that names them later. And he says, well, I'm calling mine Earth 1 because I know it. I'm from there. You're the second one discovered, so you're Earth 2, which is why the Crisis on Earth 3, the crime syndicate, was Earth 3, because that was the third Earth they discovered, and so forth. So, history lesson over. The cover again is very iconic, and it deserves to be on the 100 best covers of all time, just for its iconic status. I mean, this is one of the few comic covers you see on The Big Bang Theory, for example. That's how big of a cultural phenomena this particular book is, at least in our community. Not necessarily to the world at large, but certainly with us. So the show about the nerds made sure it was in there. So the cover, just from pure absolute gold, I'm going to give it the 5. Now, for the interior art, I find that Carmine Infantino was great when he was younger, but as he got older, his pencil lines got a little different. You can really tell it's always Carmine, you know his style, but the inkers he had later did not cover up what I call his interesting style as well as they did back then. This book was inked by Joe Giella, and as I said, it was early in Carmine. Like, Carmine has been around DC almost as long as Gardner Fox, and he had worked on the original Flash as well. He started in comics at 18 years old at the Will Eisner shop, I believe.
Excuse me, Matt. I believe it was Murphy Anderson that did the inks on this book.
I looked it up before I said it. It was Joe.
I just looked it up now.
I'll look it up. It says on the slab, maybe. Gardner Fox story, Carmen Infantino, and Giolito. I think
Joe Giolito.
Right.
Yeah, well, Google's telling me different, so that's okay.
And then Carmen Infantino and Murphy Anderson on the cover.
Oh, there you go. I looked up cover
it.
artist. That's why. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when I get to the interior, I think that, well, Anderson is probably the best inker in comics at the time. Okay, could you imagine what it would look like if Jack Kirby had Murphy Anderson inking for him?
Oh yeah, way better.
That would have been like the best
interesting
art ever. Okay, so I look at it this way, because it wasn't Anderson in the interior. Carmine's art takes a little bit of a dip, so I'm only going to give the interior art a 4.
All right.
Because it's still really awesome. It's still amazing. But I am going to give the writing a 5, because Gardner Fox is absolutely, like, he is one of the best writers. It is a real pity that he had to end his life writing Harlequin romance type books, because DC decided that he was too old to work for them anymore. They didn't want to pay him a pension.
Oh, wow.
So they literally let him go a year before he would have qualified for a pension under New York law at the time.
Oh,
and therefore, because he was an actual DC employee as opposed to being a freelance, that's why at the time he could have gotten it. So it's sad that he had to finish his career writing Harlequin romances because that was a waste of talent. So the writing is a 5, I said, and overall, only because I had to smidge down a little bit, the book gets a 4.75.
Okay, so that was good review. Actually, I like the little scientific-y things. I like the fact that they explain these, like, vibrating and going in between the
You
worlds.
get
And
that a lot. He also, Gardner Fox also writes the Silver Age Atom, and a lot of the science and history facts he uses in that, he's looked them up. He's the type of guy who would even call a colleague at a physics like at Columbia University or whatever it is in New York, and he would ask him, "Is this right?"
Yeah, I
He
kind of
was
like the
very
little geeky elements that they would put in. They did that a lot more in the Silver Age than they do nowadays. Like they would look up the science and just put little science things. You'd kind of learn some stuff in the comics. I like that. I wish they would do it more. Okay, D, you're up next.
I'm up. All right. First, I'll touch on the cover. Now, I agree with y'all at a point. I do absolutely love this cover. It is fully iconic. If you go back through my history of scoring books, when you hear me say that this is a 4, this is me giving it a very high score. So I've not yet come across the perfect cover yet. To me, this is still not it. I still absolutely love it. To the point where a few years ago, I used to collect sketch covers where I'd have people do like homage covers of other books. And this is one that I wanted to use. So I do love this book and this cover. So, but
one thing I
to
want
me,
to point out about the cover, and that just quickly, just one thing I wish I mentioned before, is this is kind of like a race. When you see this cover, you think, who is the one that's going to save the guy? I love the fact that it's setting up that little bit of suspense on the cover as well. I just think it's a great cover.
And I love the fact that Flash grabs the guy, Barry Allen. Sorry, Garrett grabs the guy, and Allen uses his speed to stop the girder. Like,
yeah, it's awesome. Okay, sorry about that. I just had to mention that.
No, you're good. But so I do absolutely love the cover. Much like I just lost my. I lost it. Cool. All right.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. That wasn't your fault that it slipped away from me here. Almost got it back up. All right, here we are. Interior art. Just like Matt said, I don't think it's as good as the cover. I don't think it's bad art, but man, there's one thing that I really stumble over, and it took me out of the book a lot. Look how big Flash's head is.
That's normal size, I would say.
No, he's got gargantuanism or something, man. He might be it might not be the real Flash, is what I'm saying. Like he's got a dome. Like,
I don't know.
He's got a dome for days. No.
It's a bit of a noggin. He's got a point.
Yeah.
I don't think every panel's that blatant, but yeah, he might be. I don't know.
I think he's more like going by the way he stands, and he is a big head.
Yeah, no, and
well,
there are other
smart guy.
he is a very smart fella, so we can give him that. But like
honestly, Batman has said in comic books that Barry Allen is the only person on the planet he thinks is smarter than him.
Which has nothing to do with the size of his head.
Maybe it's an ego thing. Hey, Batman thinks I'm the smartest guy.
Yeah.
Big head.
But the art inside the book is fine. There's nothing bad about it. I do love the fact you pointed this out. This panel is literally inside the book.
Yeah. I think that's so
which
cool.
is really cool. Here's what Matt was talking about, where Jay Garrick saves the dude, and then Barry Allen kind of like with no purpose, pushes that steel beam out of the way.
Yeah, well, he
But
puts it back where it had fallen.
no, he just threw it back into the air. It's probably going to land on someone else now. It's terrible.
No,
Um,
they say
um,
it goes back to where it was. So.
yeah. Um, but no, but the interior art, I give it a 3. And once again, if you harken back to previous reviews of mine, that is not a bad score coming from me. Now the writing, um, it was tough for me, and I could be wrong, and I'm sure you guys will jump in and correct me when I say this, but um, I love what this issue sets up for the future. There are so many stories that came out of this book, and this
Because of
was
this, yeah.
where it all began. Um, at the same time, it doesn't make the writing in this book intriguing to me. As much as I was looking forward to reading this, and I really was looking forward to reading this,
Mm-hmm.
it quickly became a chore to get through the entire thing. There's and you kind of pointed to one of the things I didn't like about it, Alan. There's so much to set up, which leaves a lot of thought bubbles that just go on for a really long time, describing what it is they're thinking or trying to do, or
Mm-hmm.
hey, here's this villain, and here's what's all going on with this guy, and it had to do a lot. So, if you only get the one issue to tell the story, let's say they didn't get any
Well,
editorial
they
control.
didn't know if it was going to be
Yeah.
what it is. Like it led to so much later on.
Now, I think it would have been a cool 2 or 3 part story. But having to jam it all into one issue knocks it down uh, a little bit for me. But I will tell you, um, one of the things that I loved about it when I was reading it was my all-time favorite animated cartoon is the Justice League cartoon from I think it's
Okay.
either the late '90s or the early 2000s, but um, they did a 2 part episode called Legends, where um, it's not a full rendition of this story, but you can see that they're taking a lot of notes from it.
Okay.
And they talk about the writer that had dreams of the story, and that story was John Stewart, Green Lantern, that had um, that was a fan of the Golden Age era.
Okay. Alan Scott,
But
isn't it?
well, they did knockoff characters in that cartoon for some reason. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of being Alan Scott Green Lantern, it was the Green Guardsman.
Okay.
They didn't want. I read about it. They didn't want to confuse younger kids that there were more than one version of these heroes.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
And then they had the Flash. Jay Garrick was actually the Streak.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but they really paid homage to the characters really well, anyways. But all that being said, man, I didn't love the story. I give the writing a 2. And that's not to shit on, like like you said, I agree with, I love everything that it started and created. But I'm just reading this now in 2025. Didn't love the reading the entire issue from front to back.
I think you sometimes you have to almost view a book from its time with the lenses of its time. And when you try to like view it from modern lens, sometimes it doesn't work because things have changed. I mean, the world is a different place.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's.
And it's reverse though. Do you think you ever grade a modern book with a golden age lens?
No.
Okay.
I do try to look at it from a modern lens. But at the same time, I'm not super happy with the modern era, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
The way
Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah, I promise you this. I didn't rate the writing at 2 to like knock a book down because you recommended it
Mhm.
or anything sinister like that. Um, dude, I love the Flash. I love Silver Age Flash, Barry Allen a lot.
Mhm.
This story was just not my favorite,
All
and
right, that's
um,
fine.
overall, the book gets a 3
Okay.
from me, and that's where I'm at.
I appreciate D score. I feel like it's very fair, and he's a smart kid, man. D knows his shit. He's read a lot of Flash, a lot more Flash than I have, honestly. Like I'm not
Mhm.
much of a Flash guy, so I can vouch for D being a Flash collector. So now it's my turn, baby, baby. I'm excited. Me and D didn't discuss this at all this week. We usually kind of like, hey, did you read that book? Yeah, I read it. You know, we give it a little kind of probably like how Matt and Alan does, but there was no back and forth on this one. I was excited coming in. I knew the significance of the book. I'm like, I'm going to find out where Earth 1 and Earth 2 came from. That's fucking cool. You know,
Mhm.
like, wow. You know, to find out that it was from an Indian rope trick that he was doing for his girlfriend,
Mhm.
maybe girlfriend. Um, Not so climatic for me. I mean, you could burn me at the stake if you want, but I feel like they missed an opportunity there. Feel like they might have been able to make it a little bit more significant than a little parlor trick.
Well, I would have to say, how else would they get him to be in a situation on a stage for performing in front of kids
That's it.
where
That's
he
my point. Why is he doing?
where he vibrates a different way to move into another?
That's my
Yeah.
point. Is it should have been not on a stage in front of a bunch of kids. It should have been maybe something more climatic, like I'm saying, like
So, so in a way, I thought it was an interesting choice for the way that they chose him to switch realities, because what they were trying to do is trying something that he normally would never try. He was trying to vibrate in a different way. He was trying to do something where he would disappear as part of a magic thing, and he
Yeah.
didn't realize the effect that he would have. So it was kind of I thought it was a cool setup personally, but
yeah, I'm just throwing out some scenarios. I do like the vibrating part. That's kind of cool.
mhm.
Maybe he was running so fast because he was trying to achieve something he's never done before instead of just, like I said, a parlor trick climbing an Indian rope. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know if he was really maximizing his. I mean, I guess he was trying something new. I haven't read any of the prior issues.
Hey,
Um,
on that real quick, that one scene like also did bother me a tiny bit, and for a different reason. Flash had just pointed out he was an hour late to getting to this appointment with Iris, right?
Mhm.
And then now all of a sudden he has a full hour to kill as the Flash on stage performing in front of children. Like, you think if you're always that busy, like, why does he have all this spare time on his hands now? Like,
Well, he's
it,
trying to suck up to the girlfriend by getting, this performance,
yeah,
and he's trying to appeal to the kids.
Yeah.
yeah, the kids.
all right,
And
so I'm going to touch on some things that I don't think anybody showed any panels. So here's the only splash. I mean, they have 3 phases in this book. This is kind of a splash. This is where they meet,
Mhm.
very beginning of the book. It's the introduction. It's not the first time they meet, but they kind of start there, and then you see he's going into the he's talking to the girlfriend. She's like, "What are you doing later?" He's like, "I'll come back and I'll entertain these children. No problem, ma'am." Um, he runs in there. I mean, the panels are good. They're not great. I kind of compare this to the books I've given high scores to, and I feel like I've seen better inside art and better covers. So there's where he does the rope trick. He throws the rope up, he climbs it, he gets up there, pop, and it surprises him. He wasn't expecting anything to. That's what I don't get about it. Is like he kind of knows when he gets to the top he might disappear. How does he know that?
Well, he's trying to vibrate in a different way to make himself look
so that
like he's
invisible.
disappeared.
You want to look invisible to the
He was
naked
trying to be
eye.
invisible by just vibrating
So for
in a weird
something
way.
he's never tried before, and he's
Oh.
experimenting, he already had a pretty good
The
idea.
whole-
He could move quick enough not to be seen, I guess.
I would say that the whole first 3 or 4 years of Flash, he was experimenting what he could and couldn't do with his powers. It was brand new. He had no experience, and he was.
So he vibrates himself into a different world, which
Yeah.
is hella cool. Like in a different world. He finds out it's not where he's from because he didn't see any of the buildings. I didn't even know he had like this ring that shot out his uniform. I don't read the Flash all the time, so I thought, wow, that's kind of neat. At first, I was like, what the hell is that?
Hmm.
And it kind of grew on me. I'm like, that ain't too bad.
And it can actually retract the suit too, which is kind of cool.
Now these panels weren't like, oh my god, this is like groundbreaking panels to me, but it's okay, you know. It's nothing.
Well, it's supposed to be like that, flashback. To be-
Flashback.
Okay,
I was thinking
I'm
that
just
was
saying
fun
I've
there,
seen
too.
better panels in my life. It's okay. There's nothing really too wrong with them, but there's nothing excellent right about them either. I did enjoy like the Gardner Fox mentioning breaking the fourth wall, giving credit to like a legend that's been writing comics. I thought that's really cool.
Well, he's giving credit to himself.
Yeah, I think well, I mean, you might
He's
as well.
making legend, though. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. It's just funny.
This is
Hey,
the
sometimes you gotta pat yourself on the back, man. That's good shit.
This is like breaking the fourth wall, but to the next level.
I would say it's breaking the third dimension.
So
Third,
for like this is a perfect story and shit. Like this all of this reading and writing was basically her getting money stolen from her or some shit. I was kind of confused.
No. What happens
Go
is
ahead.
they're setting up all the different crimes that are happening around the city, and why the Golden Age Flash had retired, and now he was thinking of coming out of retirement because
So
there's
the
these
money
crimes happening around
disappearing
the
was
city.
what was the point of the money disappearing?
That was one of the crimes that happened around the city.
Oh, okay.
So they show 3 crimes that happened around the city. One is the money being disappeared.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so they showed another one. Yeah.
Yeah, they show
Another
like 3
crime right
crimes.
here.
Yeah.
and all of them have, they're giving you clues to who did it too, because
Yeah.
the
Now-
second one involved shadow. The first one involved somebody not seeing something that was there. You know,
Yeah.
they were setting it up.
So that would be the thinker that can do that kind of thing.
So here's chapter 2, and I thought this was one of the better panels with the skinny guy. You know, Flash's enemies are usually kind of skinny. For myself, I kind of like his rogue gallery of enemies in the later Silver Age stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably would have enjoyed
Flash
a
has
later.
actually a pretty good rogues gallery. I would say
Not
it's
bad, yeah.
on par with Batman's.
Half the Injustice Society were Flash villains.
So here they are, all the enemies kind of talking, or at least the first 2, and the filler is like in the mix, I guess. Is that the filler? No, it's a thinker and the blackout guy, I guess. So the one thing I didn't hear anybody mention was how the older guy was a little slower, he thought, because the thinker had.
Well, he said he's just as fast, but his endurance isn't as good.
Yeah, so he wasn't like peak Flash like he used to be because he was an older guy. So that was interesting to me.
What it doesn't show in this story is that later on, because he keeps using his powers more, he gets better stamina and things. He doesn't get much faster, but he gets like he can do it for longer. So
yeah, they had this Neptune cup or some shit too, right? And that was helping the bad guy.
Well, he stole it. He was stealing it.
Oh, that's what he was stealing, right? He stole that. The enemies were fun. The blackout guy was kind of cool. Like an oil slick in the water.
the Shade that's here was one of the best characters in the Stargirl series.
Yeah, the Shade's pretty cool.
He's really awesome. He is actually one of the few heroes that fought more than one. One of the few villains that fought more than one different hero in the Golden Age. He fought against Hawkman, and he fought against Green Lantern as well.
Mhm.
But by the end of part two, both of the Flashes are like, man, we just both got whipped. Let's kind of team up together now, you know?
Mhm.
And it introduces the Flash for the third part. And that car is kind of cool. You know, I kind of like
His
that little.
violin car, yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
That's
Um,
how do you not announce? Look, it's me. I'm the fiddler. Like in that car.
Yeah. So they had the panel of the cover. I did enjoy the little power of him using his arms. That's kind of cool.
Creating
Um,
updraft.
yeah, kept doing an
But if you
updraft.
think about it, that shows you how powerful he is because he's like able to create enough updraft to make a steel beam go up.
Yeah, and then you see him kind of dancing there. That's kind of funny looking or whatever.
Well, they try to make them look goofy because they're under the influence of the fiddler.
They're dancing like puppets.
Basically, yeah.
And the Flashes trick them because I think they got the Thinker's gems or stones out of his cap and shoved them in his ears. Shoved
No,
them.
no, no. The gems that they were stealing, they put inside their ears.
Oh,
Then
okay.
they,
They
then
just
once
plucked
they've
the
done
shit off
that,
the
then
cap.
they disarmed the three of them.
They used the gems they were stealing, and then they pulled the plugs off the cap of the guy.
Yep.
And that wasn't affecting them. And to exit, it kind of looks like he's doing like a spinny thing, but he's just doing the vibrating thing, huh?
Yeah, he's just doing the
Yeah.
vibrating thing and goes back to
Well,
his
he's
world.
got to try and get his. You know what I find interesting about this part, you could say this being out there, but remember, he just ended up randomly somewhere by vibrating his body. How does he not end up in
Somewhere
yet
random
another?
again.
Well, he
Yeah,
went to the spot he entered the first time, supposedly.
Yes, but how was he going to be sure he was going to go back to his
Well,
actual?
he went to the place he came to when he
Yeah,
started.
but
So
the vibrating thing, he could end up if it's a multiverse, it could be like any.
I hear what
Yeah,
you're
Sort of
saying,
log
ended
it
but
up.
allow.
like he made it a point to say, "This is where I entered your world, so this is where I'm gonna go out." Right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
still,
Maybe
That's
he
right,
didn't go
Bobby.
back to the right Earth.
that'd be
Bobby's
actually a
right.
cool
The
twist.
Shade actually had his own miniseries for a while.
Yeah, the Shade, the Changing Man.
So I forget what I was gonna fucking say now. Yeah, he leaves. This is where they say bye. And then that's the end. He comes back and he explains himself to his girlfriend. So for my scores, um, if this book didn't have such an important key factor and wasn't a book that started a bunch of other comics, we're talking probably hundreds, maybe thousands of books. Am I wrong?
No, you're
Something
right.
like that. Probably.
I mean, it did. There's a lot of books that without this, they wouldn't have the books. So that's the most important thing to me. Carmine Infantino, he's made better covers than this in my mind. Now, has he made better key covers? I'm not sure, but it's pretty good. I'm gonna go 4.25 because I am gonna be trying to be respectful of the
Bless you.
significance.
Yeah, thank you.
4.25. Oops. Now inside art, I can't lie, bro. Like I'm gonna give it a 3.5. It's not the greatest, but it's better than average, I guess. I do like some Carmine. Story, I'm going 2.5, dude. Like without that key factor, this might get like I'll go 2.75 because I'm giving it a lot of extra because of the Earth 2 shit. The story wasn't mind blowing, but it's smart. It's smart because of what they're laying out. Is it the best executed? No, it's not to me the best executed. They could have made this a blockbuster issue or something. It just they ran across a couple mediocre enemies, in my opinion, and they prevailed. But it could have been a bigger deal to me. And overall, I'll go 3.5. So that's our scores. I will add them up. I hope y'all don't think I was being hateful. I was trying to be fair as I
No,
could.
no.
No,
Only D was hateful.
Yep.
Only D's hateful. D gave like better scores than I did. I almost.
No, you. I was lowest on all of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he used the lowest, actually.
All right, I'm gonna add them up.
This
So, any
book-
finishing thoughts you guys can talk about now?
I saw this book in a reprint in one of those big collections in the 70s.
They just
This-
reprinted it recently, actually, too.
Yeah, they reprinted it again, but I'm talking about like one of those Flash meets, like one of those 80-page giants my dad
Mhm.
had, okay? And that story was one of them. Like, and between that and the giant-sized Sensation comics that came out, those are what sparked my interest in Golden Age heroes.
Mhm.
Because I wanted to know I know what the heroes are like now. What were they like then? Especially when I realized there was a different Flash, a different Green Lantern, and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird to think that there was like a totally different, like, all of them were very different in the Golden Age. The only ones that have continuity that goes between the two is like Wonder Woman and Superman
And Batman.
and Batman. Yeah, but Batman actually went through a few changes as well later on.
Yeah, and so did the Green Arrow and Aquaman when they
Yeah,
updated them for the Silver Age. Those two made
Yeah.
it through too. But
yeah.
a lot of the heroes, a lot of the villains did it too. Like there's two Jokers, there's two. I mean, Mixoplitic has a different way they spelled it in the Golden Age.
Yeah, I thought that
And
was
the other
weird.
thing that I was going to say, technically, it's not the first alternate they found because you got Zerf, where Mixoplitic comes from in the fifth dimension, and Batmite and all that stuff. But it's not seen as being the same, and that's why they don't count it.
Hmm. But I thought this was an interesting book because of the fact that it really brought in, like, how do you deal with like the fact that they had all these legacy characters?
Yeah.
I don't know how it explains both Batman and Superman though.
Well, the establishment of an Earth 2 Batman
Mhm.
wasn't done until one of the crossover issues when Robin was in it, and that's the one where Robin's on the cover of the Earth 2 one in the combination Batman Robin costume.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And there wasn't an actual confirmation about there being two Supermen until Justice League, I think it's 73 or something like that, where the two Supermen were actually in it together. And you could see that the differences, like there were subtle differences, like the older one had little gray tufts here,
Oh,
and
okay.
he had sweater-like cuffs compared to Superman
Oh,
that
okay.
just looks like a leotard.
I
Like,
wonder.
and
I
of course,
wonder.
the different S's.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder.
The
I
old
wonder what
school
the
S.
second Earth 1, Earth 2 story is.
Oh, sorry, see?
I
What's
wonder
the
what
next
the
story that
second.
has it? I think Matt was thinking of picking it.
I'm
137?
actually going to mention the second one. It's Flash 137. I'm going to pick that as my book tonight
Oh, really?
as
Okay.
a follow up because I was going
You have
like
the cover?
I don't have the book, so
Okay, I can look it up.
basically the difference is this time the entire Justice Society of America are going to be reintroduced. You're going to see the Flash again, but you're going to see like the original Green Lantern, Black Canary, Dr. Fate, a couple
And
of
it's the
others.
first of a Silver Age appearance of Doc Savage.
Oh, this
right?
is a great cover. Yeah, I've seen this
Vandal
before.
Savage.
Randall Savage,
Yes.
Savage, not Doc
Vandal
Savage.
Savage is the bad guy. Yes, that's
It looks
exactly
like they're fighting each other.
So
because
is this the first
part of
Silver
the story-
Age? Is this the first Golden Age Flash in the Silver Age?
no, this is the
No.
second we just
Second?
watched.
Okay, well, the other one was a 10 cent. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, that was 1959 that we just read today, I think.
Okay.
And this book
I
is
think it's 61. Because
It
remember,
could-
he looked at the newspaper and it was 61.
yeah, you're right. It's 61 because I was going to say this is a 1962 book that I'm
Yeah, so this is like soon
looking
after.
at because this was when the Justice League was already out. Basically, what happens is the book that I'm recommending came out, And the sales were so big, they decided to do the first crossover in Justice League
Mhm.
because they were discovering there was still an audience for the Justice Society. Not
So
big
the-
enough to get their own book, but they didn't want to have two books basically the same with Justice Society and Justice
And then
America.
just
You know,
yeah,
Justice
So
League.
Justice
the
League.
total was 64.75 for this book.
What's the score?
64.75.
Oh, okay. A little
That
above.
puts it just under 60, just under JLA Avengers #1. It's puts it 5th overall,
Nice.
so 64.75.
Did it beat Superman 80?
It did
Nice.
by 3/4 of a point.
Oh, see, if I was a bitter man, I would have gave it worse scores. I think Superman 80 is a better book, in my opinion, but that's just me.
See,
Which one was Superman 80? I'm just trying to. Oh,
That was
that's
Wicked
where
Coast.
he's.
Dude, did any of
the
y'all put
robotic
together
one.
that since we read that, LA has been nuked?
Yeah.
So-
I just had to remember.
It's very like coincidental that we read that, and then LA.
I know LA actually gets like
Yeah,
burned
man.
to a
no,
crisp.
it comes out at 80.9%, and it's the 5th overall book. Hunter Prey is still #1. Excalibur 71 is still the worst.
Well, we can maybe do a better book for the last one. this could be a good one we could do to
Careful, I
try
might
to
actually give a 2.5 to that cover.
unseed the bottom the bottom one.
Uh,
Yeah, I have fun.
But I'll have to say I want to pick Flash 137 as a follow up to this because it expands more. This is, by the way, 137 I believe is the first time they refer to Earth 1 and Earth 2.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to pick up a
that's-
copy of that. I don't have it.
Yeah, and so I've read that before too. It's a great book. It's one of the story. It's the reason I like Vandal Savage so much.
I don't know much about Vandal Savage.
Well,
like
no, I know
what,
nothing.
what
He's
kind of
immortal.
villain is he?
We'll start with he's immortal. That's his power.
Nice.
He's literally
Okay.
an immortal. He's a
So you
caveman.
can't kill him.
He's 10,000 years old at the time of this book. He's a caveman.
Okay, but he doesn't show his age.
No, he doesn't show his age. He's immortal. And what over the years you discover is that basically every evil person, dictator that's been around, he was the right hand man.
Okay,
Okay,
so he's
like
like
he
sort
was
of plotting
he was the one that set Brutus in motion to kill Caesar. He was the one that
That's really cool.
he was the one who advised Napoleon to attack Russia. He's like over the course of history, you
He's
find
like
out
the hand that guides history the wrong way.
yes, in the bad way.
But actually,
while we're all
going
here-
to Russia was a good thing for the rest of Europe. That it's basically got
Yes,
France
but
to.
again, he did it to make money off the pieces, right? And
Yeah,
step into the power vacuum. It's
Yeah, yeah.
always about the power vacuum. He apparently was one of he's all over the case. He was one of Genghis Khan's people. Like
Oh, okay.
as they say, he's 10,000 years old by the time of this story. So it's
So is he like a situation where he's super wealthy from all this stuff that he's done?
one would think if I was him, I'd be confused. What freaking language am I speaking?
Yeah.
He does amass a great deal of wealth.
Yeah,
And he's not just immortal, he's also very, very intelligent.
yes,
He was literally just like an actual caveman
yeah.
Mhm.
when he got his powers, and then his powers transformed his brain and made him immortal.
Mortal,
So,
yes.
Okay.
He was a. So in a couple days, we're taking on the task of top 100 covers. I hope everybody comes back and watches our top 100 cover task. We could talk about that for a few minutes.
I
So
think
we're
this
gonna
cover
be-
should be on the list, though. I really do.
I mean,
It's got so much to it.
it's very important. I mean, I ain't gonna be mad if it does make it.
I could co-sign that. Even with my score before, I haven't given many books a higher grade than that. So
Mm.
I can tell you that I don't. Yeah, I'm not against that.
So you would say this is the best Flash cover? Because I can't think of a Flash cover that should be on the list. Actually,
I mean, there's some
I
cool
mean,
ones. I personally like All
Showcase
Flash
14 is
Quarterly,
pretty
but-
cool.
14. I like 4. Showcase 4 is pretty good. I guess that's pretty recognizable.
Yeah.
Well, 90.
In a way, I actually think this is more iconic than Showcase 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to have a lot of room for Flash covers, so if this makes it, I ain't
The
going to be mad.
Mirror Master cover is pretty nice. The 105.
Oh, the Mirror Master?
Yeah.
I like the one with the that says Flash and it has all his rogues galleries on there, but it ain't that
There's
popular.
105.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good one. But I don't think it's as iconic as 123, but it's a good cover. Like you're asking
Yeah, I think
990.
123 is better. But that's just me.
So we're going to be adding books, and then after we add a few, we will go through the books again that we have. It'd be like 180 books, I'm guessing, and then we're going to start trying to take books off the list. And I think we'll have that episode and one more to get to our 100
Mm-hmm.
to file it down.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't be hard to get rid of some of them. There's a bunch that I would get rid of that I even recommended, so I'd remove some of my own recommendations.
Yeah, we're just not going to be able to like dwell on it and have a lot of representation of it. But I would like to have like a visual aid. I might have to ask somebody to put it together once we finally file it down to 100. But so we'll add a few this week, and then we'll go after we add a few. We might have room for more to add if we forgot, but I think we will have the most of them that we can think of after this Friday, and then we'll start knocking them off this Friday too.
Here's a weird question, and maybe this is something where if we ask 100 people, we get 100 different answers, but maybe a way to create a list. What would be your favorite cover of all time?
Right.
That would take a lot of thinking because there's so many great covers that I like.
No, but absolute favorite, like where you say, oh, this is the cover, iconic, beautiful
for
art.
me, that's easy.
What
is it?
That's either Action 1 or Superman 14. Like that's easy for me because
I
quite
could see
simply,
Action 1. I could understand that.
as a Superman and Superman family fan, Action 1 because even it is not only the introduction of the character, but they did it in such a way like, wow, this is a guy who can carry a car. I've never seen something like this before.
It's mind blowing for the time.
Exactly.
And
It's almost like Alien,
it's still
like
iconic to this day, even. So
yeah. I like the thought of that. I got two that I really like a lot, and they're both from the Silver Age. It's Avengers 57 and X-Men 50.
So yeah, I really like Avengers 57. I think that's just and X-Men 50 is another great cover. They're both amazing covers.
That's my top three for right now. And they
should both be, in my opinion, in the top 100. I think they're both amazing covers.
Yeah, they got to make the top 100, and I wouldn't be surprised if both of them are top 10.
Yeah.
But see, I would also argue that as much as I hate the subject matter, Crisis on Infinite Earth 7, again,
where
iconic.
he's
got dead
Supergirl?
Supergirl in his dead Supergirl in his hands.
What's your number one, Alex?
Actually, I kind of like the way Matt said it.
Action
I don't
one,
know
don't
what would
you?
be my number one. Something with big boobs. I don't know. I'm just joking.
I also have a soft spot for Slave Girl too.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't either.
That Sun Girl
It's such a
got
hard
on the
question because,
wall.
like, there's certain like
if Billy 19 had bigger titties, you'd probably pick that one.
I actually really like Wonder Woman 1.
Yeah.
And I like Phantom Lady 17.
Yeah.
But also Captain America 1 is really, like
That's
it's
a
just
great
like
cover.
pow,
That
bam,
is such a
we're
great
gonna
cover.
kick his ass.
After I heard what Callie said about them timely saying they're a little too crowded, I kind of changed my perspective on them a little bit because I just think they're great, but they are a little
I think
crowded.
they're great. I don't mind that they're too crowded. I love just. I was a big fan of Where's Waldo as a kid. And you got to look at. There's like so many little thingies, and like I love covers that just have that where you're Alex Schomburg's stuff during Timely was insane. It was just like, oh, there's like, look at this over here. Oh, there's this going on, and he's like labeling everything, and there's like little
Yeah,
rivets, and there's like
if you're
just
into
so many
sci-fi,
details.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that
just
if
love
you're
it.
that Bender cover, if you're into sci-fi, it's just
That's a
because you actually
super
can
awesome
look
cover.
at this robot and think there's human intelligence behind those eyes.
What do you
mean,
think, D? What's
if
your
you,
favorite cover, bro?
Oh, dude, mine is Avengers JLA #4.
Nice. That's a fucking good one. The one where Superman's on the hammer.
And the
Avengers
Shield.
JLA #4.
Yeah, it's the one where Superman has the cap shield and the Thor hammer.
Thor hammer.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the second one you say, D?
No,
Can you make
this
D
is
big so I can see it? I know the cover now. Once you showed that,
Okay.
Oh, my
By
fault.
the way, D,
that is a
I
great
was
cover. I have
thinking
to say.
my other choice, the one that I decided against and what picked the Flash instead. I was really, really on the fence about JLA Avengers 2. I was sitting there going, this one or that one, this one or that one, like for 2 days.
I said, don't do it. Don't be nice to D.
oh, dude, I don't blame you, dude. My wife says the same thing, dude.
I will admit, I did ask for Alan's advice because I really was I could not. It was coming down to a coin flip before that.
Damn.
I'm serious.
Well, if you got to the point where you're asking Alan which one, you should have already had your mind made up.
I was 90% going towards Flash,
Yeah.
to be honest. But
Well, I did ask like what the next is. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's pretty fairly
makes
quick
sense.
that they went to it,
you know what? From a story perspective, it's better than this one. If I at least from my memory.
That's what I'm saying.
My
Okay.
memory has been bad before, but
Okay. I mean, do they explain the whole history of Vandal Savage?
a little bit there. You
Because it's
learn
his
more.
first Silver Age appearance, so I figure it must have some of that.
Yes,
history.
they talk about the fact that he's a caveman that's immortal. Like they do talk about it. You got to remember the first. It is cool that his first appearance is in a Green Lantern book. I'm not sure if it was All American or Green Lantern, but basically Green Lantern is this big on the book, and there's this huge headshot of Vandal Savage, and they even make him look like a caveman, like that he's got the caveman features and such.
Oh, that's some Kubert action.
Oh,
I love this cover too.
I know that cover. Yeah. See, these ones I wouldn't make it on my list. Not even in the top 1,000.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, I get that. It's just my favorites.
Yeah.
Like if I was picking my list, I would only be picking
that would
my.
be on your list. Yeah.
Yeah.
Synthetic Panels is saying All American Comics 16. That's the first Green Lantern, isn't it?
That's the first Green Lantern. See, to me, that's not good enough of a cover, even though it's a great book.
I'm sure Dean probably don't like your cover either, though. I think you guys just need to fight it out. I'm joking.
Well, All American Comics didn't even make our 100 list yet.
I don't think it's going to. That All American 14 or 16, it's a cool book. It's important,
cool
but it's not.
It's not.
Oh, which one?
Cover.
All American 14.
Is it 14 or 16? I forget.
16 is Green Lantern.
16 is
the one
Lantern.
that I wanted was All American.
14. That one is on the list, but not
I'll have
16.
to look at them. I know the one where it's the first Lantern. He's just kind of running on the construction site or on a high.
Yeah, but what All American 14 is the Crimson Avenger?
No, that's Detective 20.
Detective 20. What's All American 14? I'm just trying to think what it is.
Here, I'll look it up. Cap 100 is one of my favorites, low grade.
Well, I was thinking All Star for a second there, but what's All American 14?
All American, just something I thought of. It probably ain't shit.
Well, it could be.
Might be All-Star 14 on the list, and we're just getting confused.
I have All-Star 10 on the
It's
list.
a really
It's one of the
shitty.
ones I like.
This is All American 14.
I had put on the list, but I didn't talk to you about it. I didn't bring it up. The All-Star comics with the big robot.
It's not zooming,
Oh, okay.
but
40s is
that one.
Make yourself big so I can actually see it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the one where he's in front of the moon?
Well, 14 is just some Maloof with a dog parachuting with a big moon.
panels.
Yeah, see, I didn't even know what it was. That's not a great cover.
That's a horrible cover.
Okay, so that's not the one that should be on the list.
This one is the one everybody
his
knows.
First appearance, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's why I said I don't think it should be on the top 100 list either.
No.
Synthetic Panels says Vandal Savage first appeared Origin in Green Lantern 10, 1943. I knew it was one either Green Lantern or All American because he started off against Green Lantern.
FF52,
actually, it's kind of funny
Bobby,
if you take
on the list. FF52 is on the list as one of the top covers.
That is there.
Oh, well. What's up? Yeah, we got about 140 books on the list. You guys could check my Instagram and look at it if you want. Some of them have some clerical errors, but
not Brand X one.
So what I think we should do is we create like the 100 list of all time ones, but then we just to appease people like D and people who like the more modern stuff is we should create Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, do 100 lists for each age afterwards.
Yeah, this is definitely the first one I want to do, but we could do other ones.
That's a year's worth of Collector Club right there.
Exactly.
A lot of work. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about covers.
I think you and Steppo should do the Golden Age.
Yeah, we would agree on a lot of, but we have very similar tastes, Stephen and I. That's why we get along so well. But I don't know. Probably I would have a bit more of the horror than he would. I don't think he likes a lot of the pre-code horror stuff.
And he would throw some war books in that you wouldn't think of.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the war books.
If Doc was involved, he'd go superhero.
Yeah.
Well, you know something? What's the All Winners? Is it All Winners 21 that has the whole team standing there?
That's a fucking great one. I know which one you're talking about, but I don't know if it's 21.
Yeah, it's got Miss America, Submariner, Human Torch.
All Winners 1 ain't bad either.
Yeah.
You say 21?
Yeah, I think it's 19 or 21.
No, it ain't 21. I see 19.
One thing that we don't have on the list, and I don't think any of the covers will make it.
No, that ain't it either.
Cover. There's no photo covers on the list.
No, it's not.
Might be number one.
Might be number one then, yeah.
I know number one's a good one. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Hold on.
What is it?
We're talking about the good All Winners cover. Of course, my phone is dragging. I know what you're talking about. They're like medium-sized guys.
So All Winners 1 is the one where it's like a castle, and then they're all like attacking the castle.
No.
Yeah, no.
Like
There's one where they're all just standing there.
This is the one that I'm thinking of. Right there.
Make yourself big.
That's it.
I'm sorry. You're on a phone. I keep forgetting you're on a phone.
I'm like squinting to
see.
No,
that's the one I'm thinking of. Yes.
There's a better one too, where they're like there's a world
well.
and they're like bigger figures. There's a good one. There's another one too that's really good. It might be like 4 or 6. Let me try that.
Like personally, I don't think any of the ones where they're just standing around and like doing like a hero pose should be on the list.
Yeah.
That's personal. That's me being like an art critic.
I don't blame you. No, I get it. I don't think that's I mean, it's a fun cover, but it's not super great. Well, we're going to have a lot of fun doing this Friday, so I think we're going to roll on out of here. Oh, here it is. It's number 4. This is the one I like. Just real quick before we go. I think this is the one.
Make it big so we can actually see it, though. I mean,
that's another
cool
good
cover.
one. That is another
Destroyer over there and the Angel, I think.
Yeah. It's kind of cool to see these like characters that are like just totally out of the.
Yeah.
So Matt, you just surpassed your goal for your subs. You got a video coming up soon?
Oh, he's already done it.
We've done the giveaway.
No, I
He's
know
already
that.
done the
I'm saying
giveaway.
like you got an interview or
Actually, tomorrow's video is the prize I won from Houdat. I show that on the video and talk about the books I got. I looked them up. I haven't read them yet, but I looked up what they were about and got a brief synopsis of them all. And Saturday, I'm going to have whatever Alan has for his top 10 this week.
Oh, my
I'm not
top
gonna
10
give
is
it away.
the top 10 wants for 2025.
Yes, that's the one I have. I just wasn't gonna give it away on you.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
And
That's my
next
Friday.
Tuesday on my live show, Steven's going to be the guest, and we're actually going to show. I've asked him to bring flash books on because this topic this week got me thinking about how good Flash was again.
Mhm.
Yep. So Steppo did an Instagram post and he put the whole comic on his post. I thought that was pretty cool.
He was
Yeah.
excited about us doing this one. I think he
Yeah,
really
this
liked
is
the
one of his
idea
favorite books.
of all
That's why
time.
he was very defensive about it.
Oh, okay. So Alan, Friday night you're doing top want lists
I'm
on
doing yeah, not on the like just my regular like Friday challenge. This week it's going to be what is my top 10 wants for 2025. And then in the evening we just have our hangout. And then on Monday we're doing Fiction House. We're going to be showing all the cool Fiction House books from the Golden Age, like Planet Comics, Jungle Comics, Jumbo Comics, a whole bunch of cool stuff.
nice.
Yeah.
So D he usually pops on my channel and he's on the club and he's on our book review show, so you can catch him there. Every now and then he'll pop on his. I thank all you guys for coming on, and we're going to get on out of here. So next week we're going to be doing Matt's Choice, another Flash book, and see us in a couple of days. Alan has his pre Friday show hangout, and then we usually hang out on the club. So see y'all later.
Biggie. Biggie.